With 3 races in the books, there have been 3 different pole winners and 3 different race winners. That's a recipe for a close points race. And sure enough, with the top 3 drivers all within 4 points of each other, a close points race is there indeed. The Absolute Beginner League's Formula Neagle season reaches the halfway mark as Brands Hatch Circuit plays host to round 4 of 7 on the season 14 schedule. And you can see all the action from green flag to victory donuts live as it happens here on the Global SimRacing Channel. From Old Blighty, hello and welcome to GSRC's Countdown to Green as cyberspace flows into your place over these 15 streamy award-worthy minutes. GSRC will bring you all the storylines, all the stats and facts you'll need to fully appreciate the 60 minutes of simulated Formula Renault 2.0 racing that follows immediately as we count down to green for round 4 of Formula Neagle's 14th season. And here to do all that is yours truly, Bill Soupson, joined way up in the press box to give us our words eye view by Joseph Ashes Ringrose. Taming a streaming machine that has evil overlord potential, art director Sean Ambrose, armed with cameras, located, aimed, zoomed, and focused by the Ansel Adams of iRacing, GSRC's camera guru Doug Beer. Now, Portugal's Diogo Francisco, the Slovene machine Patrick Fliss, and the Roland Estonian Aeronum all have wins this season. Surprisingly, the driver many pundits expect to put an end to Num's 5-season reign as champion, Claudio Svid, has yet to find his first checkered flag. Now, the German phenom has dominated on the track, get this, leading 60% of the laps this season. But it's been pit lane mistakes and unforced on-track errors that has kept his trophy case empty. Brands Hatch is a technical circuit that should be to Vid's advantage. There's a good chance that fans will see a 4th different winner today. So let me reintroduce one more time my booth mate, Joseph Ringrose, and let's go ahead and talk about today's venue. Joseph?
Yep, Brands Hatch is situated in the countryside of the east of England in Kent. It was originally used as a military training ground, and the first race on these grounds was held way back in 1926, over 4 miles between cyclists and cross-country racers. Brands Hatch offers 2 different layout configurations, the GP layout that we will run in today and the short 6-turn Indy layout that's just 2 kilometers. As mentioned, the GP layout will be used by the drivers today as a 9-turn 3.7 kilometer circuit, which will be used for the Formula Renault today. This track hosted 12 runnings of the British Grand Prix between 1964 and 1986, but the best way to get an idea of what this place is really like is to jump aboard the GSRC Formula Renault 2.0 and take a lap around Brands Hatch.
All right, we've got Amjad Yama to the GSRC Formula Renault 2.0, so let's do a lap around Brands Hatch. Coming up to Paddock Hill Bend, the track is going to drop away, and hitting the apex will be difficult. There's little time to recover if you botch it, because up next is Druids with its steep uphill braking. This can sometimes be a good spot to pass, but it's tough. Try to square off the exit of the turn, and then swing it right for the correct line in a Graham Hill Bend. There's lots of runoff to the outside that's considered fair game, so use it up if you want good lap times. Continue holding right and line up your brake marker for Surtees, because this is one of the most important turns on the track. It's extra tricky with its curved braking zone and late apex. And just to hit you with more difficulty, the exit is all uphill, meaning anyone late to the power will pay dearly across Pilgrim's Drop. Speaking of which, this is about the longest breather you're going to get around this short lap. Then you dive it into Hawthorne and pray that it sticks. Now that we've hit the back half of the course, we've got a series of right-handers. Westfield's Kink and Drop will lead you into Dingledale, which then climbs back up toward Sheen. The apex here is very blind and requires great precision to get right. You definitely don't want to deal with oversteer like Amjad has to here. From there, switch sides and then throw out the anchors for Sterling. The banking here should allow you to go faster than you'd expect. Make sure and keep it from pushing wide to the grass, then drift across the circuit to the left side. The final turn is Clark, which has a nasty hump right in the middle of it. Understeer is likely to be a problem. Then, the track is going to gently bend to the right as it guides you back to the line so that you can finish your lap around Brands Hatch.
Find yourself a good spot near Druids, because in this commentator's opinion, that will be the action corner today. Now, let's talk about the action in the point standings. Errol Num for Bushfink Pink has a win, a second, and a fourth. Rookie Claudius Veed for TT Racing Yellow has a pair of thirds and a second. TT Racing Red's Diogo Francisco, like the point leader, has a win, a second, and a fourth. The bonus points accounting for the 4-point gap between the leader and the third place driver. Another rookie to watch out for is Alex Janssen for Gap SRT, Reddish and Blue Light. I love the naming of that team. Thanks, guys. As he's well back in fourth place, still looking for his first top 5. Despite a 32nd place finish at Road America, Yellow Valverde makes the top 5 graphic. Now, longtime fans of Formula Neagle must be shocked to look at that and not see the familiar names of Tuan Tran, David Burns, Pierce Cockey nowhere to be found on the overlay. Now, we're not going to be quite as drill down as deep here in the F2 driver standings. The top 2 spots hold station privateer Robert Elder and veteran Eric Lukel for Totally Spooked Racing sit 1-2. The only driver to score actual points is Draco Racing's Josh Brain, who posted a 9th overall last time out. Welcome to the overlay, Michael Podacek, and Elbow Racing Team's Elmer Notenboom is up 3 spots in third, tied with Brain. All right, and finally, we're going to go to the team standings here. Coming into Spa, TT Racing Red and Bushfink Pink were deadlocked in first. TT Racing Red won the Spa day, thanks to Francisco's win, and Pierce Cockey chipping in points from 12th. Num's solo effort drops Bushfink Pink 8 spots back. Another solo effort from Veed for TT Racing Yellow. They hold station in third. Gap SRT Reddish and Blue Like swap places with Sea Bottom Racing. You know, Sea Bottom didn't have anybody show up at that last event at Spa. They score 0, but nevertheless, they stay on the graphic. All right, Joseph, we talked about the track, gone over the point standings. How about we take a look at the event details?
Yep, so we're just over halfway through the championship now. We're in season 14, round 4 of 7, and obviously no drop rounds being such a short season, so every race counts. 60 minutes is the race distance, and the setups are completely open, which means that drivers can change anything within the limits of iRacing. But the fuel tanks will have a 30% limit of their capacity, which will force the drivers to make 2 stops. And we also have an instant cap for 24 instant points today, so drivers got to watch out for that.
You can tell by the accent of my partner, this is some home cooking going over here at Brands Hatch. Now, it's probably, Joseph, is it still daylight out there over there where you are right now?
Yep, we're well and truly in daylight at the moment.
There you go. In the sim world, it's clearly daylight here. So let's go ahead and let's look at the weather and have Joseph give us, he's been in this Formula Renault, he'll give us an idea of how this might make us feel here as we bring that up in just a second. There we go.
Yeah, so we've got a 91 degree Fahrenheit track temperature, so it's sort of a mid-range temperature for these cars, and they should be pretty good in the heat. With the grip, there'll be good amounts of grip for the drivers. 33% humidity. There is a wind going south at 6 miles an hour, so drivers got to watch out for it again. An air temperature, yep, 65, so obviously the track getting heated by the sun as it is out, but there are some clouds around too.
Of course, GSRC being an United States-based company, we show the weather in Fahrenheit because we're Americans and everything focuses around us, even though I'm not even sure if we have a U.S. driver in here. Most of these drivers today racing out of Europe. We may want to think about maybe switching that over to whatever crazy formula you guys use, Celsius or I don't know, absolute zero, however you guys figure out your weather. I can never figure out. One thing I can figure out is qualifying. Let's go ahead and look at that, and sure enough, it's that hotshot rookie, the man out of Germany, Claudius Vieth, sitting on front. Diego Francisco in second, Aero Num down in third, Joseph.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
Not surprising. We talked about Tuan Tran being not really being a factor. You don't see him on the overlay. He's a former champion, won back in season 6. Of course, that's right before Aero Num came on the scene. Ever since then, it's been all the Roland Estonia. But Tuan Tran put in a good time, sitting in fourth, ahead of your country mate, Pierce Cocky.
Yeah, we were talking about them earlier, saying that we couldn't really see them on the points board, but they're definitely up there in qualifying.
Well, that's not good. Once you get that lap in, I guess whatever you do after that doesn't matter. So Tran's not going to have any more of those.
P4 should be good though, and his copy.
There's Pierce. Pierce has the nickname, if you're new to the series, of Short Phil. He's notorious for not putting in enough fuel and running out right at the end. Probably not happy with the rule change this season that changed it from not just 1 pit stop to 2. Gives him twice as many opportunities to make a mistake. Or, if you look at glass half full, gives him an opportunity to put in more fuel if he short fills the first time. Pierce right now sitting in 5th.
Well, it seems to be a big gap between P7 and P8. David J. Burns has set a 1:19.7, and Alistair Hay half a second behind him. I mean, there's a few guys very close between Alistair and, well, behind Alistair, but maybe we could see 2 groups today, Soup, so sort of the top 7's maybe pulling away from the rest of the guys.
Qualifying at this track, now some tracks qualifying doesn't matter because it's a draft track. We talked about this being a technical track. This is where your draft position, where you grid up, really makes a difference, and also it should probably play in the advantage of some of the guys that are technically skilled.
Yep, it's a very technical circuit, especially with turn 1. Turn 1 is quite a difficult corner. It's sort of, you think you can take more speed than you really can, and you really do get punished because it's such an old school circuit. At some corners there's not much room for error, and there is gravel, and none of these, not like Kota where you've just got endless and endless amounts of tarmac. There's gravel, and you don't want to get that on your tyres because that will slow you down and you'll lose grip and you're going to have to get rid of it. So drivers got to watch out for that.
And not a lot of times they'll run wide off to the left out of 1, and it's not a long run down into the corner that I think is going to be the action corner. Corner 2, that's Druids, especially on lap 1, where all the drivers seem to, boy, it really bottlenecks there, doesn't it?
Yeah, turn 2 definitely be an action zone. You know, people get in that run through turn 1. If someone runs wide, they'll be able to sneak one down the inside and maybe send it right down in.
Well, with this being a standing start and there being a fairly large grid, qualifying looks to be over. So let's go ahead and bring up the grid right now. Joseph, we'll take them 2 at a time here. On the front row, it's Claudius Vieth, inside of the Portuguese driver, Diego Francisco.
On row 2, we have Aero Num and Tuan Tran.
Tuan Tran, after crashing, able to hang on to 4th. Pierce Cocky and the rookie Alex Janssen in 5th and 6th.
David Burns in P7 and Alistair Hay P8.
Row 5 is going to be populated by veteran Vincent Bream, inside of Mr. Excitement, Liam Quinn.
First drivers outside the top 10 are Adam McNally and Jonathan Elmar.
Hidden in the Baker's Dozens position, the man who's doing well down there in the F2 Championship, Josh Brain, Alejandro Leo outside of him.
Wojciech Podczek and Ludovic Sauer line up P15 and 16 respectively.
John Morgan inside of Bambi, Neil Bamber in 18th.
Franz Josef Stum and Ian Robson are 19th and 20th.
Hidden Blackjack, it's Elmer Nodenblum, another driver doing well in the F2 Championship. He's going to be flanked by Paulo Preto in the double duck spot.
Edgar Chanchielli and Adam Bradshaw are P23 and P24.
Last 2 drivers put in qualifying times. Lance Simon and Thomas the Strudelmeister Kick.
We have 4 drivers who have not set times. Will be lining up between P27 and P30. That will be Floris Bieshart, Aaron Kurtz, Kurt Kahn, and Marcus Gesdal. So they were the drivers not to get in times, and we'll have 30 cars lining up on the grid.
And they should be lining up pretty soon. Here is qualifying time still running down. Okay, Joseph, you've been with me now for a couple races. You're getting familiar with these guys. Some of these guys, you know, they're doing a little cross-pollination from the Apex Online Racing Formula Renault 2.0 Championship that runs over there. Who do you like for a winner today? Do you think the rookie might get one, Claudius Veed, or is it going to be one of the veterans?
I think we'll have a race-long battle between Veed, Francisco, and Nom, providing all goes stable and we don't have any incidents and whatnot. But it's tough. But I'm gonna say Claudius Veed. He has that pace from qualifying, and hopefully he can show that in the race.
Yeah, the bad luck. How long can it continue for the German driver? What do you think about the dynamic of the race? We're looking at a pack race, a draft race, or is it technical enough that these fast drivers are going to be able to break away?
It's going to be a very interesting race for sure. Strategy will definitely come into it because there's a lot of following at this track, and you have to sort of really be confident when making a move. And I think another one of the main overtaking opportunities we spoke about Druids Turn 2, the long back straight, which is one of the main passing opportunities because the strength of the slipstream is so strong in these cars, and it could really provide just that slingshot effect that would help these drivers to make that move.
Out of Surtees down in what they call Hawthorne Bend, that's quarter number 5, the sweeping right-hander, a good passing zone down there. You hear Joseph talk about being confident. That's a race driver's euphemism for being aggressive. And yes, you're going to have to, if you're going to make a pass, you're going to have to get in there and be confident about it for sure. We're waiting for a few of these front drivers to take their spot. Still waiting for Diogo Francisco to go up there and grid up. Arrow Num as well. We're hoping that they're going to be able to do that. There's Num is in the business. We got Veed, we got Francisco, we got Num. Still waiting on now Tran and Cocky to get out there. Those are veterans of this series. They want to make sure that GSRC is able to give the commentators their bonus for getting through the entire starting grid. We've done that, boys. We've made it. We're ready to go racing. And they hear us. They must be watching the broadcast. And now they grid on up. Get ready for 1 hour racing here. This is the Formula Neagle, sanctioned by the Absolute Beginner League. And we have the hotshot rookie, Claudius Veed, sitting on the pole. We talked about it in the countdown to green. He has led 60% of the on-track laps. And he's sitting on the pole, perched to be leading lap number 1. You can hear those engines start to harmonize. Gather at the chicken steak, cover behind the cows, because the horses are out of the barn. And it is indeed Claudius Veed leading the stampede down into the first corner. Francisco, Num in third, Tran and Janssen behind him. They negotiate. Druids look like, a little bit of trouble back there.
Yeah, there's a bit of trouble at the back.
We'll bookmark that. If we have time, we'll come back and take a look at it. Everybody keeps going, though. Looks like nobody's race has ended. As the drivers head down the back straight now, going into Hawthorne Bend for the very first time. It is Veed, Francisco, Num, Tran up in 5th.
Yeah, it looks like we have one driver
in 4th.
We have one driver in the pit suit. That's Franz Josef Stumm, obviously caught up in that first lap incident and has forced him to make a pit stop. So that's a shame for him, but we'll focus on the lead now.
Yeah, I apologize for saying 5th. My timing and scoring is a little off because iRacing, when a driver takes a tow, they are scored in the lead because actually they're sitting around there right now. But that'll all fix itself as they come around here. Let's give credit to Claudius Veed leading lap number 1 as he opens up a 4/10-second lead over Francisco. Num, Tran, and now I'll give you the 5th face driver. It is Pierce Cocky. They race, as Joseph talked about, in the same order that they qualified. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is not the case. Can we go to 7th, car number 25 for Vincent Bream? 2 positions back. He is up 2 spots. We're still looking at Pierce Cockey as we get to Vincent Breen. There he is in that brightly colored machine, sitting in 7th position, up from 9th. Able to get around David Burns and Ali Hay.
Yeah, he was able to get past them both on the first lap. Just seems to be routine moves. Getting past them both, they've only lost 1 position, so it doesn't seem like each of them made a mistake. Just Vincent getting his elbows out.
They race single file ahead, so let's give you another mover. Let's go back to the driver in 10th, racing car number, boy, this is a mouthful, 946. We're talking about Josh Brain out of the UK. He qualified in 13th. He is up 3 spots, able to get around Mr. Excitement, Liam Quinn, Adam McNally, and Jonathan Almanar. So a great run so far from Brain. Drivers are working lap number 3. Nothing going on up front.
It's just the race is just starting to settle down now. We're on lap 3, as you said, and drivers are just gonna sort of, I know it's early, but start thinking about strategy. Are they gonna get stuck behind these guys? Especially if they're in a train soup, they might find themselves stuck and not being able to do anything. So they might make an early pit stop and make that undercut work, like we saw Alistair Hay did a couple of weeks ago.
We're looking at, now he says he's in first place. That timing and scoring is not quite right, as we have another driver that, wait a minute, where is Veed? Something has happened to our leader. How did we miss it? Francisco Veed on this lap. It was right on this lap, coming out of Druids on the way into Graham Hill Bend, corner number 3, and he puts it in the wall. It just happened. We're gonna see if we can find it. This is an important one. The bad luck continues for the German driver. We're still on Diego Francisco. We want to get to Veed if we can. We're going to see this one pretty soon. He has fallen back into 20th position. Let's see what we got here on this replay. See if we can find it. That looks like that's still not there. That was still, we got to go a little farther back. We'll go back a little bit more. He did it while he was leading. See if we can drop back a little bit farther, rewind.
I believe it was in turn 3 from what I've looked back 3. And yeah, he sort of, we'll have a look now, but I believe he could just go into the AstroTurf.
So there it is right there, but we were not on the right driver, so we just missed it there. Let's take one more shot at it. We're going to get it for you. We're again on David Burns. We want to be on Veed. Still on Burns. Now we're on Veed. Here it is. You see him get loose, but he tries to catch it. Ouch. We spent a long time getting that one to you, but it was important. Now we're back live, so let's look at our leader. Diego Francisco is out in front, and there's Veed back in 23rd. After that hit, there are 2 pit stops, Joseph, but that's going to be tough to overcome that one, huh?
Yeah, because it's a very early pit stop, and it's not... Yeah, you can fill up your mandatory 2 pit stops. These cars will only physically run for however long the fuel runs. It's only a 30% tank, so obviously that's going to restrict them on how far they can go, and this could really hinder Claudius's chances, and it's just damage limitation from now.
And remember, there are no dropped races in this series, and it's a short 7-race series, so no drops, short season, hard to come back from a mistake like that. Well, his bad news is good news for the guys racing up front, Errol Num and Diego Francisco. Now, 3rd place is the veteran, Tran. Let's go ahead and look at Tran. You see him right back there behind. Boy, a jump cut on that. There's Tran. Racing in 3rd and hanging in there with Errol Num. That's a little bit of gap to Cockey and Alex Janssen in 4th and 5th. All right, we got McNally in a battle. This looks like he might have just made the pass. A mistake was made by Jonathan Almanar. They get that gun going through the kink. McNally up to 11th. We're going to see if we can get a replay here as we look at Adam McNally. And our GSRC thing spins, and we come back. And we're a little too far ahead. There's the pass has already been made. McNally racing in the yellow car, and Almanar in the blue machine. Here it comes right here. You can see the mistake from Almanar, and that's a green car up front. I've been told my rods and cones fail me again. The pass is made. Adam McNally up into 11th. We look there at McNally, who's had some issues. He's fallen back now to 12th position as he's had some problems out there. Other drivers that have retired: Kurt Kuhn, Marcus Gestalt, Floris Bashar, Adam Bradshaw, Edgar Sanchinelli, France Strum not with us. Joseph, take a look here at third position. This is Tuan Tran. Here comes Pierce Cockey, about 2 car lengths behind. As they head into 3, this is where Veed had his problems.
Yeah, the 2 veterans going at it, following one another in a pair. Right, the front 2 there together, and then we've got Alex Johnson a couple of seconds back from them. He's just on his own, managing to pull away from Bremen Burns.
As we ride on board with Cockey, is he a little too far back to get a tow? You have to probably be within, what, 3-4 car lengths?
Yeah, it's around 7/10 of a second to get the tow. So as long as he's within that, it starts to pick up and you really get the effect of the slipstream.
Does this section through here scare you as much as it does me? Boy, Dingledale, nah, I hate it. Is that tough in these cars?
Yeah, that corner. I mean, personally, I really struggle there. It's one of the corners I just can't get my head around and can never really get right. And these drivers will know how difficult it is, and they would have prepared for that.
All right, we'll stay on this battle a little bit lower. Now we're looking at Tuan Tran. There we go. Now they're coming at you. That's Tuan Tran being chased by Cockey. Not going to be able to get him down into corner number 1. That's Paddock Hill Bend. Then down into Druids. Late apex from Tran. A little bit of an early apex from Cockey, but these guys not able to make up much time. So here's how they sit. Francisco, 0.8 of a second. And let's go to the leader right now, because he's coming up on a back marker, a couple back markers. Alejandro Liero and Ludwig Sauer. They're racing for 22nd position. He negotiates 1. Joseph, not a real good place for Francisco to get on the back of Sauer. Hard for Sauer to get out of the way here.
No, because it's difficult to make a move through here, and he would have probably liked to got it out of Surtees and down that back straight.
That said, you must be listening to the broadcast as well as he makes that pass into Sterling's Bend, that left-hander there, corner number 8. Now the long drive down to Clark, and what that has done, Arrow Num is still back there negotiating, and now I've been there. Ludwig Sauer says enough of this. He pulls out and makes his first pit stop. So, Num, Tran, and Cockey all negotiate around Liero and Sawyer, who peeled off. But Francisco's opened up a 1.5 second lead now back to the 3 drivers that are chasing him. Let's go ahead and take this opportunity to see if we can find somebody to look at here on the track, maybe in a battle a little farther back. Look at 11th position. This is Almanar again and McNally. Wait, we've seen this before, have we not? Let's see if Almanar can do this without making a mistake this time, as McNally's going to try to come back. He already got 11th position once. He fell farther back. Was able to get around Wojciech Podesek. We'll stay on this one for a bit longer as we watch McNally chase them down. I think he's got the pace. There's not a lot happening up front. Everybody seems to be holding station up there. And it looks like McNally's going to be a little while before he makes this section, so he goes through the technical section. Let's look at another comer here. All right, now we have one of the big names of previous seasons. He's not doing much here right now. David, third-degree burns, decides to come in and make a pit stop. I would expect that David should be able to get in and out, making the first of his stops. He's fallen down to 14th position.
From what I can see, Soup, that he hasn't got a front wing, so he must have had an issue or an incident somewhere that we didn't quite catch. And it's a rather long pit stop, 40 seconds, and it's still not out. So
Ali Hay has just put it in the wall. It happened just about 15 seconds ago. Ali Hay was having a good run, racing in 7th position. We're going to see if we can find this one. Again, this is coming out of Druids, between Druids, and heading down into Graham Hill Bend. There it is right there. Does he get... Oh, look at that. He pancakes the side. Then he brings it out. How's the car look? The car, on early look, seems to be okay. As he come back to live, right now he's trying to fend off Josh Brain. Brain having a great run. Looking back there. You may ask the question, what are we going to do today, Brain? Well, right now, he's going to try to take over, not the world. He's going to try to take over 8th position if he can. That reference was almost from this decade. Probably not, though. All this going on behind Francisco, Num, Tran, Cocky, and Janssen. Well, since things are slowing down there, let's drop back. Give some love. Boy, they are really split out on the track. Let's go to 16th position. Oh my, and he's going to spin right now. Neil Bamber. He's in 20th, car number 45. Yeah, I think he just came out of the pits. Nope, he was out there on the track, but boy, he lost. He was coming up behind Elmer Notenboom. Yeah, we'll get a replay on this one. Because this was scary. He was going down into 1. He had the pace. He made the move on Notenboom. Going down into 1 if we can, and the car gets loose. There we are, coming out of the final corner. He makes the move down the straight.
Back end just seems to get loose, doesn't it? And just sends the car around. Manages to save it, though. So good work from Neil. Managing to keep that on the track, really.
Corner number 1 is tough, right? You gotta get really wide, then find that apex, and there's that hill there that makes the car get really light.
Yeah, there's a crest that can really unsettle the car, and you've got to be careful with it, and it's not an easy corner to get right. It's like the other one, I can't quite remember the name of it. You're talking about earlier, Soup, but it's the right-hander.
Look at the pass by. Look at the pass by Ian Robson as he gets around Elmer Notenboom. Now Notenboom just had that scare that with Bamber spun in front of him. This is a battle for 16th. Points paid down to 20th, so they're getting a few points picked up there from Robson. As we race with just about a quarter of the race done. We're not done yet, though. Here comes Neil Bamber one more time. Now he's a lap down. Just take one more chance at it. Now let's check on Bamber and see if he's a lap down because he's made his pit stop. And yeah, sure enough, Bamber has made a stop. Leader of all the cars who have pitted, believe it or not, Claudius Veed. And there goes Bamber goes by. And he's, look at those drivers are getting out of the way. That was a battle for position there from Kurtz. Up, and there's Claudius Veed. Racing in 13th. He has made his stop. Remember, he was spun from the lead. What can do, maybe, Joseph, are you able to take a look at Veed's recent lap times, and maybe we can compare that to what the leaders are doing? We'll see if that car's healthy. He's our pole sitter. He should be pretty darn fast.
Yeah, he's been pretty quick generally. Past 5 laps, he's done a 20 dead, 19 dead, a 21 dead, a 20.8, a 19.5, and a 19.5. So he's sort of in and around. He's going up and down pace-wise, maybe making a mistake every couple of laps, but maybe some damage to the car.
Right in the ballpark, though, with Diego Francisco, who did a 19.5, just did a 19.9. Errol Num did a 19.5. Let's go ahead and give you an interval. Just because Veed is so quick, he's probably going to work his way through. Right now, behind the leaders, he is, wow, 51 seconds back. But again, there's that pit stop made. So all you little soldiers in Soup's clipboard army, mark this down, 51.4 seconds. That's the interval between Francisco and Veed. Let's go to Quinn and Hay right now. This is a battle for 7th position. Quinn out in front in the fluorescent blue machine. I think I got that color right. Ali Hay chasing in the black and red car. Neither one of these drivers have pitted yet. They work their way through the action corner so far, which has been Graham Hill Bend, corner number 3.
Now we're just going to get this run through Surtees and down the straight. He's very close to Liam Quinn. You can see him pulling out of that slipstream.
Quinn takes the defensive line. Look at that great camera work there. Is it done?
Yep, round the outside by Alistair Hay. Great move there. Not an easy move to complete, but that toe just worked its magic and was able to get that slingshot effect as we spoke about. But Liam Quinn isn't giving out without a fight.
You talked about it in the pre-race show, being confident when you make that pass. And you can see Ali Hay taking it in around the outside. There's not a real battle going on, so we'll stay on this one. We'll see if Mr. Excitement, the veteran, has anything to come back on. He's got a little bit of a toe now. Again, they go down into 1. For a lot of look at the run he has here. He's going to make a dive down into Druids. No, he decides better. Let's go ahead and report that the driver that is coming, Claudius Veed, just got around Jonathan Almanar. Now, Almanar still needs to make a pit stop, but Veed is up to 11th. That interval, 50.9 seconds to the leaders. I just don't see there's... Oh, and Veed spins again. And I'll be darned if it's not the same, not quite in the same corner, but before he got there, that little short shoot between Druids and Graham Hill Bend. We saw that one live, but that gives Jonathan Almanar the spot back. Joseph, I've been in this car a little bit on this corner. I've never found that particular spot to be tough. I guess getting the power down out of Druids, is that why the cars are going around?
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, Claudius could have had damage from, obviously, earlier. He was, Sean pointed out, when he came out of the pits, he was still struggling a bit. Maybe that explains why he's still slightly off pace to the league guys. Yeah, that is the only explanation that I could think of. Usually it's a pretty easy corner. These cars are pretty easy on the power. It's like a switch. It's on off, essentially. It's not like, say, the McLaren MP430 where you really have to feather the throttle.
We have missed a pass up front, though, as Pierce Cockey was able to get around Tuan Tran. That was a while ago. Apologize for missing that one. And now Tran is falling back. Look at this as Janssen coming in. Either the car's going away from Tran or he's lost his rhythm. But he qualified in 4th position and beginning to go the wrong direction now. All right, Errol Num is tired of chasing Francisco. He's decided to come in, and he's out now. I can report that Cockey got that pass made going through the main straight down into 1. about 2 laps ago. All right, Num is out, and let's see where the Roland Estonian is going to cycle out. He comes out in 6th. Now, Joseph, not so bad to come in and make the stop, and he gets lucky. He's got clear traffic ahead of him. He files out right in front of Alejandro Leo, but he doesn't have to deal with him.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't want to deal with any traffic, and that's what Diego Francisco's got to make sure he doesn't. He doesn't want to be fighting with anyone. He just wants a clear track where he can push in some laps, and this is going to be crunch time for Diego Francisco, and he's really going to need to put in a good lap. And if he is going to come in this lap, and it's only a short pit lane as well, so 19.7 seconds from Aranon.
Now this is where Francisco decides to go around again. And this is something that you don't often see on a lot of network broadcasts, some smart broadcasts too. But there is really a race going on right now between Francisco and the car that's on the other side of the track, Errol Num. He knows he's racing him. That gap, 20 seconds. And again, you guys following along with clipboards? 20.3, 20.2. Errol Num seems to be holding station. Now Num won't have the option to come in and pit again. He's got to stay out there. If he comes up on traffic, he'll have to deal with it. Francisco, as a leader, well, he can decide I can either stay out here and have a long run, or if I come up on a traffic and I don't want to deal with it, I'll come in and make my pit stop. He's got Paulo Pareto. Let's go to 13th position, car number 93. That's the last car on the lead lap. And there you can see the leader coming up on him.
That goes to show that it's such a short lap. What we're...
Yep. Oh, no!
Then, oh,
they
very
both come
close.
in. Pareto was trying to be a good guy. He decided to come in, get out of the way, I'll pit. Unfortunately, he entered really slow, and Francisco had to check up behind him. I thought he was actually going to put the nose in his gearbox. That's what we preach at the Backmarkers United meeting. Now let's go ahead and see if we can find Num as Francisco is rolling. Here comes Num into 1. Francisco's going to be out first. You can see the Roland Estonian right behind. The gap, I would say that Errol picked up a little bit there. Now we take a look at some times between those two drivers when they came in for the pits. 20 seconds cone to cone for Francisco, 19.5 for Num. Num was in the box for 4.8 seconds. Now, Joseph, because this is a 2-stop race, those pit stop times can be a little misleading because you don't necessarily have to put in a full load on that first stop.
No, of course not. As shown, they can go 25 minutes from what we can see, and some of them are obviously going a lap or two longer. So you're not going to need.
Let's go to the leader. Let's go to the leader as he's negotiating around traffic right now. Francisco just got around. Let's go to the leader if we can. Going around Lance Simon. We'll get to our leader here, and we're still on Tran. And okay, well, they've made it around there. They have one more car to negotiate now. Josh Brain. While we were looking at that, Tran had come in and made his stop. And now Tran is rolling. And Tran's going to come out in 4th, comfortably ahead of Vincent Brame. And now we get to Tran as he's out of the... So, looks like all the stops have been made now, except for Jonathan Almanar, who races in 9th. He'll be coming in soon. Let's go back up to our leader, and then we're going to find out to see what happened to the man who was racing back in 4th position for most of the race. Let's look at our leader here, Francisco. As he's got around all the lap traffic there, he's got and Num is chasing him. Num back by about 0.3 of a second. Now we got to mention, though, that 2.5 minutes ago, the man who was racing in 5th position, actually I think in 4th, we've lost Alex Janssen. So another big name is out of the race. We apologize for not getting that one. So Janssen and Veed have both suffered damage. Tran has had an issue. We'll see if we can find that. We got a replay of it. Yeah, sure enough, it was the left-hander. It looked like it might have been Sterling Ben, I think. He looped it around, and there it is behind the foliage. We miss it from the trees. Hard to get overhead. There's our shot right there. So he loses positions, Tran does, to Vincent Brame. Remember, he came out ahead of Brame of the pit stop. When it's all said and done, not the worst thing. There, we got a good angle from that low-angle shot. And we're back live. So Tran out still racing in 3rd. Diego Francisco has had a problem. Just happened from the lead. He spins it in. He catches the tail right from the lead. Let's watch our leader. He's got Num behind. It'll be coming up in just a minute. There it is. Ouch! We're going to go on board. We can see him, Joseph, maybe work the wheels. We look off the, there we get, we're going to wind back here. Here we go. They're coming at you. Now we're on board looking back at Errol Num. You can going to see the tail wheel. Now we're going forward. Watching him saw on the wheel. It's coming up right here. Oh boy, he's got it. Just hard to get it going straight again, huh? And now we're back live. So they keep falling away like 10 Little Indians in an Agatha Christie whodunit novel. Errol Num, will he be next to fall? He's our leader. All of his competitors have had trouble. Claudius Veed, Diogo Francisco, Alex Janssen, all guys who qualified inside the top 5, all having trouble.
The only man who hasn't is Pierre Scott, who's managing to stay within 2.7 seconds soup. And I mean, we haven't really seen much of Pierre's this season, but he wasn't too far off in qualifying, starting P5, and half an hour into the race, only 2.7 seconds separates them, so he's not doing half bad.
We can go ahead and take a look. Maybe we wrote Diego Francisco, wrote him off too quickly. He's still out there racing. Can we get a good look at that one? Boy, that front wing damage, rear wing damage. The good news for him is he has a 10-second gap back to Vincent Brame. More good news is there are 2 stops. So as soon as he gets into that final window, which would be maybe, what, about 4 or 5 minutes from now, right, Joseph? If they can go 25 minutes, come in, top it off, and see what kind of repairs his iRacing crew will do for him.
Yeah, he doesn't need to leave it to the last minute, as some guys might, just a little fill up for most of them. But as said, he's had his issues, and obviously he's going to have damage, and that's going to be affected his lap time. So, going to have a look at the battle between Paolo Preto and Jonathan Almanar for P11. Almanar obviously pitting him very late.
They go through Druids, and now heading down into this. This has been the scary section. I told you to buy your tickets at Drew's, and look at this. Oh, hello. As Almanar gives a little punch to Prado. Now I'm up there. I might have been a little bit behind schedule. Now they go down into the long corner down into Hawthorne Bend. That punch came out of us going into Graham Hill Bend. I was a little bit behind, still looking at a replay. Let's watch Almanar. He is hungry. While we look at this battle, Joseph, just to follow up and drill down a little deeper on Diego Francisco's situation, is there a way to tell iRacing to lead the wing alone? I'm fine, my pace is good, or do they have to fix it, and will it cost you time in the pits?
So unless it's a required repair, so usually a nose change will be a required repair. So you have to change that. But say if you have rear wing damage, I don't believe you have to take it. It'll be on optional, so you can leave it. But there is floor damage which you cannot repair. And if you get,
go ahead.
If you get the floor damage, it can really affect your lap time, and potentially that could be what we're seeing with Diogo.
Sorry to interrupt you there. And there to make, you saw the passes. Almanar moves up again, up into 11th position. Prado dropping back one. Vincent Brame now. Coming up. He's a lap down. Let's stay on Vincent Brame. One car back there a little bit as you're looking at Prado. Here comes Brame. He's going to make these passes for position. Now, it's going to be a little different. These guys are going to get a blue flag in front of them. Vincent Brame finally having a race that he's wanted for a long time. Started 9th, up to 4th. Most of those he's vultured. And I told you the gap to Diego Francisco was 10 seconds. I thought Francisco was safe. Brame's not going to want to mess around here much with Prado, because now that gap is down to 5 seconds. Boy, but this is not the place to catch him. Paulo, find your spot apart. Let it go wide. A little bit of lift here. A little bit of lift. And there's the pass, mate.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look difficult, but there really is a skill of letting cars by, because you don't want to lose, essentially trying to lose as little time as possible. And if you're in a battle as he was with Jonathan and whatnot, he could lose that time and potentially lose position, especially if they manage to follow in the train.
I'd like to quickly look to a sleeper. Can we go to car number 27 in 13th position? This is Alejandro Liero. Now, timing and scoring shows him as the leader. Oh, no, I apologize. I thought he would be the leader of all the cars who've made 2 pit stops. He's going to be second of all the cars who've made 2 pit stops, because the guy who has made 2 stops, it's Claudius Veed. Looking at Claudius now, racing in 8th. He's good to go. This is all about salvaging positions. And we've seen Claudius and Errol Num run away from the field where they're a half a lap ahead of their nearest competitor. So even though Veed has had that mistake, I'm not even sure a podium might be out of the question for him. Car looking pretty good. Let's take a quick look and see what his last lap time was. He put in a 1:18.8. Errol Num's last lap, a 1:19.4. So yeah, I think the German driver's feeling pretty good right now. Probably not happy about the mistake, but putting in some runs. Guys, he might be able to pass. Ali Hay, Mr. Excitement. Let's go to this battle for 6 right now. This is next up on the hit list for Veed, and I think he'll probably get these 2 guys as they make their pit stop. Quinn racing in 6th, Hay in 7th. Now, Joseph, you know Alistair Hay, is he a teammate of yours in the Apex Online Racing?
Yeah, he's one of my teammates. I've known him for around a few months now, and Alice is a really, really good guy, hard-working, always trying to find something in the setup. He's always trying to push harder to find that extra 1/10 of a second, and he's just trying to find that extra way past Biley and Quinn now. We saw him passing around the outside earlier, and yeah, it'd be nice to see on a personal level for him to get past Liam. Nothing against Liam, but of course, Alistair being a good friend of mine.
Okay, now I heard nicknames for him. I've been calling him Alistair. Then a friend of him chipped in and said you can call him Al, you can call him Ali. Did I hear you call him Alice? Can I call him Alice? Was that one of the names?
No, I think I accidentally said that.
Right. I'm going to jump on that one. All right now, Quinn in 6th. Hey, not able to make any move on this. Okay, we thought that Diego Francisco would come in as soon as he can. He does. The question is he going to get out in front of Veed? No, he is not. Veed is by. Yeah, this is a long stop, and this is for all that damage that he got. Boy, he is still in there. A lot of cars are going by as he drops another position. He's down into 8th. Rolling by Wojciech Podolak. Good to see him back racing with us. The Polish driver.
Yeah, so that stop was an extra 30 seconds. Added an extra 30 seconds onto what he would have wanted. So, yeah, not the ideal situation for Diego Francisco, but you got to work with what you've got.
He does get out on the lead lap, and he is racing in 9th. And it's not as bad as it sounds because he'd be the 3rd car of drivers who've made 2 stops. Behind Veed and behind, no, actually 2nd. He's just behind Veed. So all in all, that's still a good points day. Remember, with no drop races, yeah, Errol Num will score big, but one mistake from the Roland Estonian gets back in. So all these points important to these guys, only separated by 4 points in the points coming into this race. So with that, let's go back up to 5th position because this is going to get interesting. This is Liam Quinn, Ali Hay, and it won't be long until Claudius Veed gets to these guys. Hay's last lap was a 1:20.4. Veed's last lap, a 1:18.8, so he's knocking off about a 1.5 seconds per lap. What these guys might want to consider is when that German driver does get up to him, it might be time for their... Oh no, and there goes Ali. Oh my. Looking at this one, he had been chasing Mr. Excitement for many laps. What do you see here, Joseph? The car looks good. He's going straight.
Yeah, no problem so far. Maybe he just took too much speed into this right-hander. Wait a second. Got on the curb by the looks of things, and the car's just stepped out on him, and at that point he's a passenger. Shame for Alistair there.
So Brands Hatch claims another victim. Alistair Hay, another driver that had qualified well. Alistair.
Aeronom's in the pit lane.
Alistair qualified in 9th. Another one. Now Aero is in. That's going to let our new leader, Pierce Cockey. Shortfield's going to stay out for a while. Num is rolling.
4.6 on the stop, so nice quick pit stop, and he's going to come out side by side. Who is that? Is that a lap car? Yes,
Bamber.
It is. Yeah, it's Neil Bamber.
Neil's a veteran deal, and Neil, talk about a pass made on reputation, boy. You get shown the blue flag sometimes, and then when you see the blue flag and it has Errol Num behind it, it seems like the blue flag is extra bright, extra big. A little bit of reputation when it comes to racing ahead of Errol Num. So now, the Roland Estonian is in 2nd. He's 17 seconds behind Pierce Cockey, but Shortfield will need to come in. Look at the Brit. He's had a good run. One of the only drivers inside the top 5 other than Num that has not fallen in victim to the track.
It's all about having a clean out, out lap for Aaron now. He doesn't want to get involved in anything and then, you know, give an advantage to Pierre's cocky. 17.3 seconds is the gap. It's around 19 seconds for the pit lane plus getting up to speed. So at the moment he would come out and lead unless Pierre's short-filled the car.
Yes. So we look at this as we ride on board with our drone cam, looking at that one. Good job from that drone pilot, keeping that camera focused right on the car. There's Pierce Cocky. Oh, let's go to 12th position. Prado. We were just going there. They get together going into pit lane. Prado coming up and Liero punts him. Maybe some miscommunication. Prado was heading into pit lane. So was Liero. And maybe a little bit of communication over the mic might have helped this one.
These guys are going to be fuming.
Now this battle has been going on for a while as we race and we follow on board on the drone cam through Dingledale. Now as they come down the final quarter, pit stop time. And ouch. We did not talk much about the pit lane here at Brands Hatch. But there you can see communication. Always an important part of racing. Oh no, Vincent Bramo is having such a great race. Spins it. Now that was through the technical section. After they worked their way around Westfield Bend, heading down into Dingledale. Maybe a little curb on the right-hand side, Joseph. That's what I see. What do you see here as we ride on board?
Yeah, probably just a bit of curb, and then just send the car around. We'll see. Nothing as of yet.
Just right there.
Yeah, that curb. He's just clipped it and it sent the car around, hasn't it, Soup? And again, it's, in a way, it was similar to Alistair's incident earlier. A slightly different type of curb, but yeah. That's he can't really do much once he's hit that curve, and it just unsettles the balance of the car.
Bad news is he had his spin. The good news is he did not lose a position. Liam Quinn's still back there about 15 positions, so he continues. Qualified in 9th, racing up in 5th. Our leader, Pierce Cocky. Now just ahead of Pierce is Diego Francisco, who had that long pit stop. He's made his 2 stops. He's good to go. He is the last car on the lead lap. And there being only 7 of them. Now, some drivers will be able to get that lead lap back as the leader comes in. Well, probably not. It's the drivers that are maybe ahead of Aero Num, and there aren't that many of them, so. With about just under 15 minutes to go, Cocky has been out there for 16 laps. Longest of any driver right now. John Morgan's been out there for 15. So Cocky will try to get in and out. Tuan Tran races in 3rd. Tran still needs to make his stop. Cocky going around one more time. Apparently, to be able to go all these laps, he clearly did not shirt fill. I'm not so sure about the wisdom of this. Let's stay on the leader now as they come up behind Morgan and Diego Francisco. Now, I'm not sure he's going to catch Francisco, and Morgan will probably get out of the way. Hey! Next Backmark United meeting around the globe, whatever charter you visit, make sure you give John Morgan the comfortable chair. Good job from him. The gap from Cocky to Num, 18 seconds, impossible to get in and out and hold the lead. The interesting driver that is racing on a podium spot, if we can go look at Tuan Tran real quick. He's in 3rd, but it's a bit of a faux 3rd. He's 18 seconds ahead of Claudius Veed. but Tran will need to make a stop. Veed does not. To risk sounding like Dr. Seuss, Veed has speed. We're looking at Veed, car number 11, racing in 4th. There we are on their roadkill cam. The car up ahead, Lance Simon, 3 laps down in 15th.
It's the last running car that I can see, Soup. So all of these guys that will finish will be scoring points.
Oh. Well, that's one way to let them around. That's really not the recommended technique at the Back Markers United meeting, but it did the job. Actually, as they score down to 20th, this is interesting. Alex Janssen currently is in 20th position, 17 laps down. He'll get a point. Attrition, a huge factor here, as there are Ali Hay is out, Prado, Simon. You said it, Jonathan. Simon, the last car out there racing, 15. "13 out of the 28 cars have ran into trouble." Look at Bamber. This is the battles he got around Robson. These guys are both racing 2 laps down. But it is worth points, as we'll look at a replay. Bamber trailing, Robson ahead. Bamber gets a good run. Cocky is in while we look at this replay. Nothing need to go there. Aeronum rolls by comfortably.
Francisco in.
Oh, when we come back live, we got to go to the leaders here because it's a little closer than I thought it would be. And Num now working around Pierce, working around Alejandro Liero. They came out of the pit stops. I thought it would be a slam dunk, really, that Num will be well out in front. Not the case, as Pierce Cocky is only back by 2 car lengths. He's in the hunt. Of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that his nickname is Short Phil. There is one way to save time in the pit stops, and that's not put in enough fuel. Right now, Pierce Cocky right behind Arrow Num. Qualifying time between the two. Num put in a 19 flat, Cocky a 19.3, so he's close enough, and look at this, he is right there. Shortfield is on his tail. I think he's got momentum, Jonathan. I think we're going to see a pass for the lead. Look at the defensive line that the Roland Estonian is taking. Now he weaves out to get a good dive, a good corner entry. Through Paddock Hill Bend down into Druids. Boy, Pierce, that might have been your one and only chance. You could have forced the issue there.
He's got to get his elbows out. He's P2, but he could quite easily get P1. Maybe out of 30s down the back straight. Could have a chance.
And while we're right on board with Shortfill, I got to mention that the driver in third, Claudius Veed, he has worked his way all the way back. Tuan Tran took that second pit stop. He came out in 4th position. And you can see right there, Tran, that's Tran behind Veed. They race close, but Veed clearly has the pace. Tran would have really liked to get out in front of that one.
Francisco also out of the race, and Pierce Cocky runs wide.
Cocky had it out on the grass. There we go. Now we're back up on the battle for the lead. I almost wonder the way that Cocky didn't take advantage of the opportunity down into Paddock Hill Bend the last lap, if maybe he's worried about not wanting to lead and burn up fuel. And now he's fallen back, which was once just a couple car lengths, is now 7 or 8. These guys are well ahead of the drivers in third. Veed pulling away from Tran. Liam Quinn in 5th. Vincent Brame in 6th. The last 2 cars on the lead lap. We ride on. Whoop, now we leave. Now we're looking at Liam Quinn again. There he is in 5th. Comfortably about 4 seconds ahead of Vincent Brame. Brame in no jeopardy of being lapped. And with just under 8 minutes to go, we're probably going to focus a lot of our attention here on Pierce Cockey's valiant attempt to run down the Roland Estonian.
To my calculations, it will have 6 laps to go. 6 laps to go when we cross the line. So Piers has 54 turns to have a chance at a move.
There you go. Joseph Ringrose, clearly new to this company, did not read the commentator's handbook about doing math, but he got it right. Let's look at this. It's Pierce Cockey hanging in there. I would almost worry that Errol Num, I don't know why he would worry about short filling, but I would think that the Roland Estonian, just on reputation and from what I've known from these guys, should be able to pull away. Not the case.
Arrow's got that lap car just ahead of him, so if he can catch him and potentially get a slipstream, and which will which will cancel Pierre's slipstream, essentially reduce the effect of that. That will really help Arrow Nom's defensive attempts.
Of course, he's coming up on Josh Brain, and Brain's going to use his noggin here. I don't think he's going to stay in the way of these guys. Yeah. Brain's got his mind right on that one as he lifts and lets the 2 guys by. Look at the run now. Cockey has, boy, almost too good of a run out of that final corner. Clark's curve. He was right up on the back of him. 2 car lengths back. Cockey taking an interesting racing line, maybe just peeking. You cannot scare the Roland Estonian. He's got ice water in his veins. No more lap traffic for these guys for a while. Of all the cars that are a lap down, really nobody out there fighting for a position as I scan through. They are separated. Best battle on the track is the one for the lead. We're going to peek in real quick. We're going to leave the leaders just to peek in real quick. This is one we'll follow at the end. 12th position. We're not going to stay on it long because I don't want to miss the action up front. But Ian Robinson is in a battle for 12th. Oh, and there goes Ian off. That is, if you have encyclopedias still at your house, it's those books that tell you stuff. Turn to Commentator's Curse. You'll see a picture of Ian Robson. That battle for 12th started to heat up. Joseph, what do you see here?
Yep, going on board into Surtees is that. He's away from the curb, and yeah, just back end steps out on him, and into the gravel he goes, taps the wall, nothing major there.
So he loses that spot. Now let's go back up to the leaders, because here is Pierce Cockey, as pesky as a little sister, right on the back of Errol Num. Why has the Roland Estonian not driven away from Pierce Cockey? Well, longtime viewers would say that it's because of Num must be lifting for fuel. Cockey would say it's because I got the talent. All this going on, Claudius Veed had to come in for a 3rd pit stop. Obviously, the first one that he made was not in his pit window. This is good news for Tuan Tran, who vultures that position and has a 13-second lead on Veed. Still, 4th place points are going to keep that German driver in the hunt. Let's go back up to the lead with about 3.5 minutes of racing to go. It's a 2-car length lead, and try as he might, the Roland Estonian is not able to shake Pierce Cocky. Cocky again, really fast through that final corner curve. Maybe too fast. He's going to make a move now if he wants it. The defensive line from the Roland Estonian. Num tries to ease over. They are Cialis bathtubs through Paddock Hill Bend, and Num gets loose. He saves it. He's got time left with 3 minutes to run him down.
I think there was contact between the two of them.
I don't know if there was. I really think it felt like the rear end of Num's car comes around. Maybe it was netcode. Let's watch this one. We're not far enough back yet. We're trying to get that one more. We'll have to hustle though. But I can tell you right now, while that's going on, Pierce Cocky has quite a big lead on Aero Num. And no, not going to be able to find that replay. We saw it live. Doesn't look like Num is going to have anything for Pierce Cocky right now. He had pace before. But I got to say it. His nickname is Pierce Short Phil Cocky. Does he have enough fuel to get to the end? We'll find out in 1 minute and 52 seconds plus the extra time to get to the checker flag.
This will be his penultimate lap, so we're getting the white flag next time around.
Oh my goodness! You know a more interesting battle? Let's go back to third place, Tuan Tran. It might show fourth on your timing and scoring. Don't be fooled by that. Here comes Claudius Veed. Veed gobbles him up as if he's standing still, and the pass is made. Claudius Veed now up in third. Tran back to fourth. My gosh, that German driver is good.
Could be some team orders there going on, Soup. Both part of the same team.
And Tran not in the championship hunt. Veed very much so. So when it's all said and done, if they finish in this order, it's only going to be a 1 position difference between Num and Veed. Assuming Num cannot catch Pierce Cocky. Pierce, a veteran of this series. White flag is out. Cocky in control through Druids. Through the dangerous Sterling Bend that has been a problem, through Graham Hill Bend that has been a problem for so many. Now through Surtees. The long straight ahead. Only a few more corners down into Hawthorne Bend. The technical section ahead. Through the dreaded Dingledell. Pierce Cocky. Looking to pick up his first win of the season. Out of the final corner. Give round number 4 of Formula Neagle to Pierce Short Phil Cocky. Aero Num. Go ahead.
4 races, 4 different winners, Soup.
Yep. And it wasn't the one we expected, as Claudius Veed is going to have to settle for third. 6 cars on the lead lap. Tuan Tran's going to get fourth. Liam Quinn about 2.5 seconds ahead of Vincent Bream. I don't think that's going to matter. 6 cars on the lead lap. Big names that did not score points. How about Alex Janssen? I apologize. Alex Janssen did score points, sitting in 20th. 27 laps down, will pick up that final point. That just goes to show you how cranky Brands Hatch was today. All right, the racing is over here on the Global SimRacing Channel, but our broadcast is far from done. What we're going to do is take a short break. We will come back, run down the entire finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. Back in a few. Sanctioned by the Absolute Beginners League, you're watching the Global SimRacing Channel's coverage of Formula Neagle. It's Season 14, Round 4 action from Brands Hatch. Let's give you the final standings that just finished up right now. It's Pierce Cockey qualifying in 5th position. He's able to stay out of trouble, making the pass on Aero Numb to get the win. Aero Numb has to settle for 2nd ahead of his nearest rival, Claudio Speed, who made a 3-stopper, plus a mistake that put him in the wall. Nevertheless, the German driver still scores 3rd place points. Tuan Tran had a chance for a podium until a late pass by V. He has to settle for 4th. Mr. Excitement, Liam Quinn, and Vincent Bream are the last 2 cars on the lead lap, coming home 5th and 6th. Wojciech Podosek comes home in 7th position ahead of Jonathan Amlinar. Josh Brain had a good run. He comes home in 9th position, rounding out your top 10, Alejandro Liero. Then we get to the back half of the top 20. Neil Bamber and John Morgan go 11th and 12th. In the big 7th spot, it's Ian Robson. Lance Simon, 3 laps down in 14th. Qualified second, finishes 10 laps down, but nevertheless will score points. And I'm talking about the Portuguese driver, Diego Francisco, ahead of Paulo Fredo, who is all ribbons and curls in the Sweet 16 spot. Ali Hay put it in the wall, 17 laps down. He'll score a few in 17th position. 18th is Adam McNally. One of the drivers doing really well in the Tier 2 Championship is McNally and Elmer Notenbaum. They score 18th and 19th. Last car to score points is Alex Janssen in 20th. Then we get to the drivers, and Janssen, by the way, was 28 laps down. Then the guys who are outside the points and way down as they had trouble. Aaron Kurtz, David Third Degree Burns, Thomas the Strudelmeister Kick, Ludwig Seller, Franz Strum, Edgar Sanchinelli. Then it's Adam Bradshaw, Floris Bashar, Marcus Gestalt, and Kurt Kuhn in 30th. All right, it's time for interviews. Let's go ahead and bring Pierce Cockey down in here. Now, I've gone in ahead, I've looked at the stats. It looks like there have been 54 previous starts. There were 27 top fives, but if my calculations are correct, Pierce, this is your first win in Formula Neagle?
Yeah, other than the main win in the Race of Champions a couple of seasons ago, but yeah.
Well, you're hanging on to that one, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
My gosh, what a good race. You just kind of stayed out of trouble, and some of the big names had their issues. And then let's talk about the pass for the win going into Paddock Hill Bend.
Yeah, it was a bit tight, I think. Looking back at the replay, I possibly didn't give Aero quite enough room, but yeah, sorry about that if I hit you a little bit, Aero, but you know, these things happen, I suppose.
It was a tough one. If you're going around the outside, you can only give a little bit of room there. The question is, did you give enough? Good news is it didn't hurt Aero that the pass was made. Aero comes home in second. Let's talk pit strategy and running Aero down in the last part of was fuel an issue for you? It always seems to be, but maybe not.
No, surprisingly not. It's a bit hard to have fuel issues in this car, really, because it fills up so quickly. Like within a second, it's filled the tank up to full. So yeah, it's a bit hard to even catch it to short fill. So
got it.
It seems like my type of car, I think. So it's all good.
Yeah, I was worried about, we talked about it in the broadcast, that put in a second pit stop, probably not to your advantage, but actually maybe so with fuel now being less of a strategy because you don't have to worry about every ounce. And is that what you're saying? Yeah,
that's it. Yeah. And I don't think you're all that much slower with a full tank. The tanks they've made them pretty small with this car. So it's only 16.5 liters or so, forcing the 2 pit stops. But yeah, it really doesn't have that much effect. So it's all good, really.
I want to go back to a few laps then before the last lap where it looked like you had a run on Aero, and either you didn't have a run or you just decided against it. You kind of know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I could have. I felt like I could have overtaken him a few times, but I just wanted to leave it as late as possible, so I wasn't out the front and giving him a chance to come back at me. But I think it worked quite well because I think he was a little bit slower in the final sector, where I managed to gain quite a lot of time on him. So it was to my advantage to have that run when I did during the beginning of each lap. But I thought I'd left it pretty late. I hadn't realized I'd left it with three laps to go or something. But yeah, no, it was all good. Yeah,
it was during the broadcast like, oh my, you're only going to get so many shots at Errol Num. I thought maybe that was your opportunity, and now he's going to run away from you. Yeah. You did a good job of chasing him down. Congratulations on the win. I'm truly happy. It was a long time coming. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Here's Cockey, your winner today. Nice to see. And there we bring our director back in there. That is nice to see as he escorted Pierce right into the interview room. And it looks like we have nobody else that's going to talk to us here today. So I think that's going to wrap it up. Congratulations to Pierce Cockey. A long time coming. Took 54 races for it to get it. And a change of cars as well. With that said, we're going to thank everybody who makes this possible. How about everybody at the Absolute Beginner League for organizing Formula Neagle and contracting with GSRC to broadcast. Thanks to the companies, equipment, and software you see on the screen right now that we use on the broadcast. The original music that gives every GSRC broadcast a unique flavor and feel is thanks to Eric Eckholm and June Lalonde. See the screen to how to contact each of them. Are you a fan of this series? Well, don't worry. We'll be back in 2 weeks That'll be July 29th, unless you live in Australia, where it'll be July 30th. For round 5 from Monza, GSRC will be here. We hope you join us. Sliding across your screen right now are some of the upcoming broadcasts, so check them out and mark them down on your calendar. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including a complete list of future broadcasts, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Gram. And while you're here, if you haven't done it yet, subscribe by simply hitting that button on the YouTube channel. So, finally, on behalf of my booth mate, Joseph Ashes Ringrose, our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, our camera artist, Dougie No Nickname Beard, I'd like to thank all of you for watching. With that said, we're off to have fun, storm of the castle. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.